Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. Trash Talk is being joined tonight by Angel Pacheco, fresh off of his TKO victory at LFA 82 just last week. Trash Talk is brought to you, as always, by our sponsors Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, and my mom. Angel, how you feeling a week after that fight, brother?
I feel pretty good. Not too many injuries, obviously. I did kind of mess up my right shin a little bit, but otherwise, a couple scratches here and there, but we're good. No,
Yeah,
no serious injuries, so I'm happy about that.
yeah, no, that's good. I mean, we spoke in the post fight interview that immediately after the fight, and yeah, you were saying that you felt pretty good, or pretty good. You felt in control at the end of the fight, and yeah, I mean, it's not like you walked away without a scratch because you do have a scratch, but walked away pretty healthy for a guy that just spent 7.5 minutes inside a cage with another trained fighter. so
Yeah,
so yeah, you're doing
yeah.
good.
Yeah, so just for the fans that didn't see the immediate interview that you guys did, which was a great one, go back and check it out after this video. But just give a little rundown of the fight. How did it play out? Was it similar to what you expected going into the fight?
Yeah, I kind of expected him to mix it up pretty well. Just from watching his fights in the past, he never really does one thing, like say just try to grind and wrestle or just try to strike with people. He does a pretty well job of mixing his strikes and his kicks in there with his takedowns. A lot of the times, I think he would fight fighters that really didn't know how to deal with being on bottom. Either they just try to play jiu-jitsu or, they just really had no answer for his ground game. Um, like I've said in the past couple interviews before, that's kind of the style I've grown to fight just because people start to get hit by me and they're like, oh shit, this isn't good. And they just try to take me down repeatedly and try to kind of beat me by decision. I always knew as an amateur, even, the longer rounds are going to help me because I don't really get tired. I mean, obviously, I feel some fatigue, but I'm always in shape. And I knew he would be in shape as well, but I just felt like another thing he wasn't going to be used to is me pressuring him, which I did a really good job of. First, like, minute and a half, I was told by my coaches, especially my boxing coach, because of my last fight, I was kind of over anxious and I kind of just wanted to bang right away and kind of go crazy, which made it look a little more sloppy than what I normally am. So we kind of said, okay, let's take the first like 40 seconds, kind of lay off, see what he's doing, feel it out, which I normally do anyway in general. I don't know why when I fought Sam, I was so crazy. Like I said, I think I just try to match his intensity. Uh, and that kind of didn't look very good, obviously. But this fight came out, try to stay behind my jab. Once I started finding some punches to the body, I kind of let go my hands a little bit more. He did a good job. I think he kind of underestimated how good my defense was, really. Even in there, I was really surprised on how much he was throwing like flying knees and using a lot of energy. Um, and I knew personally, like, oh wow, this stuff isn't landing. A lot of it's hit my arms. A lot of it wasn't clean. I mean, obviously, he did hit me a little bit here and there, but nothing too drastic. I was never really hurt. Like I told you, Damien, he hit me with a good body kick.
Yeah.
And honest to God, the only reason it really hurt me was because I thought it wasn't gonna land. Like I thought I stepped far enough back, but I didn't. And I was like, oh no, I didn't. Okay, well that sucked. But I didn't try to show it. I just tried to pressure more, get in his face. So pretty much, I felt like my pressure broke him. It's kind of a long way to say it, but I feel like my pressure broke him. My volume punching, And my cleaner shots really is what made a big difference too. I know I hurt him a couple times. I've watched the fight a couple times because I always like to see what I did wrong, what I did right. I feel like my left hook was landing, and that was kind of money for me in that fight. I was, like I told you, Damien, that night, I was surprised he was able to take those, not fall on his ass at all. Most guys, when I hit clean like that, they end up on their back. Um,
Yeah.
so, he's tough. He was good. I knew he was a good opponent. He's never been beaten. And he wasn't there to lose, obviously. But neither was I. I just, in my opinion, I broke him, and it's a learning experience for him, learning experience for me, and I'm sure he'll move on to do pretty good in the sport, I feel. But that's kind of my assessment of the fight. I just think I was too much, kind of like we kind of touched on before too. The level of competition I fought as an amateur was up here to where his level of competition as an amateur was down here, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what showed, I feel.
Yeah, I mean that's fair to say, especially with as much amateur experience that you've had with MMA and with boxing. I mean, now, crap, I forgot my question. I had a good one. I really did. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So now looking forward after a really good performance at LFA 82, I mean that was an amazing fight. I think you showed you answered the question that was, I mean, that everyone was asking, were you going to be able to stuff the takedown or be able to get back up when he does get the takedown? You actually did each time, and then you stuffed plenty of shots. I think it was like 3 or 4 shots that you ended up stuffing, and then you ended up finishing the fight on the ground. When the fight was actually finished, did you? There was a little bit of talk about it afterwards. How do you feel about the stoppage? Do you feel like it was a little bit premature? Do you feel, I don't know, how do you feel? And then from the angle that I had, because I couldn't really see where you guys were at, I was looking at the big screen.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know, like where were the strikes landing, and how did you feel about the finish?
So he took a shot on me, threw a double, or shot for a double. I sprawled, covered the head, took his back, and when I took his back, I was thinking he's gonna roll, do something. I normally kind of like float there. I don't really put the hooks in right away. I kind of did that to Sam also. I kind of just ride and punch. He never he never rolled. He never did anything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the hooks in. I pulled him over. He just pretty much gave me his back. Didn't really fight it. I went to the full back mount, and then I flattened him. When I flattened him, I had his left arm trapped. So I had his arm like this under himself pretty much. And I was punching with my right. And his head was turned like this. So I'm punching him. The ref says, Felipe, you need to move. You need to do something. Literally, all he did was this. Turned his head the other way. And then the ref said, don't hit him in the back of the head. So I started hammer fisting the other way. From that point, all I was going to do was let go of the hand and start elbowing. I felt nothing. Like, in the sense of his legs, he wasn't trying to move. To me, he just kind of sat there and waited for the fight to end. Because if I was in his same position, I'd be moving my ass. So that A, I don't want to be getting punched. And B, you're in the worst position possible. You're flattened. Your hips are off the ground. Like, what are you going to do there, To me, it wasn't an early stoppage. I feel like the ref just saved him from what was about to happen, which was just going to be more elbows, more punches, until the ref did stop it, in my opinion. He kind of complained about it or whatever. That's fine. Don't get in that position. Like I told you in the last interview I had with you, I had urgency every time my butt hit the mat. I was getting my ass off the mat. He had zero urgency. In my opinion, you have to have urgency right there. You have to. As a fighter, there's no choice. You have to move. Because then that happens. Then the ref's going to stop it. Whether it was early or not, that's not the point. You gave no effort to move. So what can I say? you know?
Yeah, from the referee standpoint, if they tell you to work and they don't see the work at that point, their job is to, protect the fighter and stop the fight. So, I mean, it was a really great performance for you. Brings you to 3-0 now as a professional, 3 big finishes. One of the questions that we asked you in the pre-fight, and it's always so hard to judge, in a hypothetical situation, but was what does that win do for you? I mean, now that you got it, you've solidified that you're one of the, if not the best, 145 pounder coming up in the state right now as a professional. What's next for you?
Um, it's hard. It's hard to say, really. I'm obviously want to stay active. My goal this year is a minimum of 3 fights, maximum probably of 5. Uh, from what I'm looking at on my calendar, hopefully I can get 5 fights this year. If everything works out the way I'm hoping. I talked to Mark after the fight. I asked him, if I can get back on their card whenever they're back in Minnesota. He said for sure, yeah, and hopefully they can get me on the Fight Pass portion this next time around as well. Which obviously, like I said, I'd appreciate. I talked to Jeremy also about it. He said, they're gonna try to get me on there. Nothing's official, obviously, until I have a contract. So, but I feel like I gave a good showing for myself. Um, and that's kind of the idea right now. Whenever they're back in town, for sure, I'll get on there. I know there's a couple other like driller shows and stuff like that. I know I mentioned to Damien the Three Rivers show out here. I think it's April 25th. I won't be on that. It sounds like I talked to Brock about that. But there, like, there's some exciting stuff I was told, so I can't really say too much. But as of now, I'm currently on track to at least have 5 fights this year. So that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Is any one of them gonna possibly be a title fight with another promotion, maybe, and you don't gotta say more than that, or a title defense of the title that you already won from Driller?
As of now, no, not that I know of. But I will say that as a side note, I was thinking about that today. Like, I would love to have a title defense.
Yeah.
A lot of people, have that old saying, "You're not the champ until you defend the belt," kind of thing, which is I kind of disagree with. But at the same time,
For sure.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind defending the Driller title. There's good fighters out there in Minnesota and out of state as well, obviously. I just, as for fighters and opponents, I just want to continue to fight better fighters, obviously. Felipe, I think, was like number 6 in Wisconsin at 45. And at the time, I think I was like number 7 in Minnesota. So I just wanna keep fighting better guys, I think I'm like number 6 or 7 right now in Minnesota. I don't know who's really above me. Like name-wise, I couldn't pull a name out of my head. But I'd be willing to fight any of those guys. It'd be fun to see what's going on, see who really is the best in Minnesota. But ultimately the goal is to either get to the LFA title, win an LFA title at 45, and then get to like a Bellator or UFC, a one, something like that. Obviously, preferably out of all of them, the UFC, because the masses say that is the best. It's drug testing also, so I don't gotta worry about supplements from other athletes. I'm obviously not the biggest guy in the world, so and I've never taken anything like that. So yeah, I'd like to stay a clean athlete and not have to, get on stuff to be able to compete. So that'd be great. But as of now, the goal is just obviously keep winning, stay undefeated. Like I said, preferably 5 fights this year. That'd get me to 7-0 by the end of the year. And if I'm 7-0, and as long as I keep performing the way I've been performing with all finishes, it's gonna be hard for the UFC to say no, Angel, you don't belong in here, you know. So
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
hold on, I
1000%.
this is a little bit off topic. This is a little bit off topic. Sorry. Do you think you ever fought anybody who was on steroids? Possibly.
um,
I definitely have. I know I fought two people that were on steroids. That shit was
it,
like I
it's hard
won.
to
I won,
yeah,
but it was two
it's hard to
people.
say. It's hard to say because some people like are freakishly big, you
Yeah.
know, or they look like the type that might be. I'm just gonna say yes. I feel like maybe I have fought someone that's on steroids. I won't say a name or anything, obviously,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
whatever. But at least one person that I could think of. And now that I think of it, I bet I could find out if I direct message them. So I'll find out tonight, and I'll tell you whether or not I have or haven't.
That's funny. I mean, thinking about it, I don't think I ever have. But there was one guy, and I'm not gonna say any names, but Damien will know the situation. There was one guy that I grappled one time, and he didn't look. He's not the guy that looks like he's on steroids, but I have never felt anybody stronger. And this guy just proceeded to hold me in one spot. I just remember Damien going, "You got to do something," and I'm like, I know." And then we end up going to overtime, at which I was able to submit him pretty quick in the overtime. So it makes me wonder why I wasn't able to do anything for the first 5 minutes. But that person, like I don't know if it was like that deer antler spray or just some fucking beef hormones, but like it was a different. I was like, yeah, just
It
hey
was
guys,
horse beef. It was horse beef.
horse meat, Alistair Overeem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Oh my God. I want to say the names of the people that I fought, but Travis Meyer and I don't Crow. I,
Crow might have been, man.
oh, he definitely was. He
Yeah.
definitely.
I'll never forget the day before you fought him, and he was posting pictures of him doing like 425-pound rows, and it's like,
Oh
dude, what the
no.
fuck are you? You have to fight tomorrow, bro. Like, what are you doing, maxing out on the gym?
Oh my God, he tried to fight me after the fight because the fight announcer, because I kicked him in the body and then he collapsed, and as he was collapsing, because it was a smooth ass liver kick, it was like smooth as fuck, just like blah, you
It
know.
was.
So anyway, no, but anyway, I it was a really smooth liver kick. He collapsed, and as he's collapsing, like I go to lock up a guillotine, but I didn't even like have it locked up. Like my hands were loose and I'm trying to get the angle and he's already tapping. And I'm like, all right, I walk up, I put my hands in the air. And then they announced it that I won by guillotine in 17 or in 15 seconds. And then
Oh
he's like,
no.
no. I tapped to the body shot. You didn't choke me out. You ain't choke nobody out. And I'm like, okay, what does it matter? You
Yeah.
know, like
I'd rather get choked and
Yeah,
than quit to a body shot. What are you talking about, dude?
yeah, like it just made no sense. And then he said something else to me or whatever, and I was like, "What? You want 15 more seconds?" And he just, like,
What's funny about that story is I think everybody remembers 20-year-old Damien.
My God.
dude, I think Stefan was the one who like was more riled up than me, probably.
Oh
Because
man, I remember we were at the Myth for that fight. I was standing next to Stefan. We were back in like the VIP area where they used to have the teams sit, and somehow Stefan went from right next to me to the second stair, almost into the cage, in a half a fucking second. I've never seen anybody move faster ever.
dude, he
That's
has my
hilarious.
back. We were friends since high school and shit. It was funny as fuck because like it was. Everybody thought it was gonna be like a rumble, but it has nothing on like Nick Diaz brawl or a
Oh,
fucking
dude.
Conor and Khabib and shit like that. Like there's nothing compared to that. I don't even think I pushed him or he pushed me. It was just he resisted so bad when everybody tried to like grab him that it just looked like it looked
Oh,
worse than
God.
it was. But it was pretty funny though. Yeah. Oh.
That's story time.
Yeah, you ever been in a situation like that? Anybody ever tried to fight you immediately after the fight?
No, never. I'm sure they were more butthurt when they would lose to you, though. You talk a lot of shit from what I remember. So I kind of get it, you know? I'll be
Yep.
telling my dad, man, get that motherfucker after the show. Fuck this guy.
We're jumping this motherfucker. Fuck it.
Oh man, dude, it was funny. Like when people would like come up to me and like I say like, "Oh yeah, you're the shit," or like I'd get a an envelope. It'd be like I don't know, like 2 or 3 tickets worth of sales or some shit. And then I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Somebody's my fan." What? What?
Hilarious.
I have one. I don't fucking know, but like it was funny because like the times I did back it up, I looked so fucking badass. So yeah.
Yeah.
The times I didn't, everybody got to enjoy a good laugh. So boom. You're welcome, everybody. No, I'm just, oh,
Yeah, I didn't even.
I don't know, dude. I guess there's not too much. You, you you don't even get to see or talk to your opponent before or after amateur boxing. I guess until I guess you see him again at another tournament.
Not really. There's a couple people I fought like 3 times probably as an amateur, so you kind of get to know people in that sense, but
Yeah.
nothing too crazy. You don't get to know them that well.
Do like rumors don't go like spreading around just because like because I remember in like wrestling like there'd be like rumors from like a guy knows another guy that goes to this school, so like they're telling you about like he's failing whatever class or he's doing this and shit, and it's like why does that even fucking matter? But like there's like so much gossiping that goes on just because it's all such like a close knit shit, I guess. But like
Not really. Not really. I remember the first year I boxed for the St. Cloud Wrestling Boxing Club. My buddy Greg Whalens fought at 152 because he was way more dedicated than I was at the time, and I fought at 165. I'd weigh in at like 158. But he was about to fight Vishan Owens at the Upper Midwest because our team won the region tournament. So it was me at 65, Greg at 52, another buddy of mine, Victor Hernandez, at I think like 78, and maybe Avery Miller at heavyweight, so 201 and up or whatever. But I remember, and I love Greg, but I remember like how concerned he was about fighting Vishan, just because Vishan was very good. As an amateur boxer, I think maybe that was the year he had just like made #2 in the nation or something at the time. And Greg was for sure very worried, very worried. And my entire life, I've always kind of been like, who cares who you're fighting? Just go in there and fight, kind of thing. But he for sure looked at it a little different. He was a little more intimidated. But like stuff like that. And then like when I fought Vashan too, I fought him twice as an amateur. The first time I was so out of shape. I fought him. I cut like 8 pounds the day of the fight because it's same day weigh-ins. And I remember just running the whole time, like moving my legs. I was just like, I can't even punch. All I can do is move around. And I pretty much was a punching bag the whole fight. The second fight, I remember another guy that trained with us was like, "Oh, aren't you worried? He beat you up pretty good the last fight." And I was like, "He didn't really beat me up. I just didn't do anything. I just moved and ran pretty much." I was like, "This is gonna be a different fight," and it was a lot more competitive. He still beat me the second time around, but it was a lot more competitive the second time around. I don't know. Like that type of thing, like people just being like, "Oh, you're fighting a badass," kind of thing. It's like, it doesn't really. To me, every fight's different. As long as I prepared, I'm fine. If I go in like an idiot and have to cut a bunch of weight, of course I'm gonna do awful. But if I go in prepared, I'm not worried about it. So no other rumors though, other than like, oh, so and so is so great, and so is from this gym, so and so is from. I don't really entertain that crap. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I always wish I was gonna I could do amateur boxing, but my mom
Oh, it's
never let
fun.
me. Yeah, I had to sign myself up for wrestling, and that was the closest I could get to it. And like, she didn't know I did it until like around my second match. And yeah, and then I was like, yeah, you think you could buy me some wrestling shoes?
Oh, that's funny.
But but yeah, no, dude, like your dad's like okay with you doing it, and like actually like like your number one fan, where your mom and dad both support you a lot, but like I just get like I've always talked with your dad multiple times, and that man, I think it's dope as fuck. Like, how did he like? Was he an amateur boxer, or did he just like kind of just want you to get into it because he wanted you to be able to defend yourself, or what? How did he? I mean, how did you convince him to let you want it?
Uh, honestly, I told him I wanted to do it after watching a UFC fight.
Yeah,
So I used to be really obsessed with like WWE.
Same.
yeah,
I loved it. Me and my sister Maricela, we loved WWE. One day I was like 13 or 12. One day my dad came into the room. He throws the DVD on my bed and he's like, "Whenever you're done watching that gay fake shit, watch this. That's real fighting." I was like, okay, whatever. So then I get done watching what I'm watching. I put this DVD in. I watched like the first two fights, like a little bit of them, and it's grappling, it's jiu-jitsu. I have no idea what the hell that is at the time. I'm like, what the hell is this gay stuff? This ain't fighting. I go to the next fight, and it's Josh Thompson versus Eve Edwards, and this is the fight where Eve Edwards picks him up, takes him down, and then
yeah.
Josh gets back up, breaks the hands, and tries to throw a spinning back fist. And Eve at the same time jumps in the air, head kicks him, knocks him out, follows up with a couple punches, and right away, I don't know, something in me clicked. I want to do this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Ever since then, I was like, I need to do this. So my dad, he boxed a little bit when he was younger, but he pretty much had like a hard upbringing. I'll just leave it at that. But he, anyone that I knew growing up, pretty much told me, and like my uncle and pretty much everyone that knows him, knows my dad as pretty much like a badass. And I know that's very like common. Like everybody says that about their dad. Oh, my dad's a badass. He's really good at fighting, stuff like that. But it's just the truth. I remember a couple of his fights, or after a couple of my fights as an amateur. My dad's obviously really proud of me. He'd show his friends or whatever, and his friends would be like, "Son, no offense, but your dad would destroy you at your age, because he'd fuck people up. Like if you want to ever talk to him about that stuff, you will. I'm not gonna sit on here and brag about my dad, but so I asked him, teach me how to box, because I knew he knew how to box, because I knew he's good at fighting or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he taught me a little bit, and then eventually I ended up going to Golden Gloves in Wilmer. Literally after my first boxing match, I ended up fighting a southpaw. I never. Oh, I can hear myself off of somebody's.
Yeah, that was
Oh no,
weird.
missed out.
I think it's gone now.
Okay, I had never seen a southpaw before in my life. I ended up boxing a southpaw for my first boxing match ever. No idea who this kid is. I can't remember his name. But I pretty much kept leaning to my right, which was going right into his left hand, over and over. I was getting hit by the left hand over and over, and I wasn't throwing any punches the first 2 rounds. And if you're your first match and you're as young as I was at the time, it's a minute-long match, right?
Okay.
So I remember him coming up to the corner and like pushes my boxing coach away at the time. He like hits me. I look at him. I'm like, oh shit. I know right away, oh man, I'm in trouble. I look at him. He tells me, if you don't fucking start throwing punches this round, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. I'm like, oh, scared as hell. Going into the last round, right? I go into the last round. I'm like, fuck it. I don't give a shit if I get knocked out right now. I'm trying to kill this kid. So I give this kid like 2 standing 8 counts in a minute. It's only like a minute round. So I give this kid like 2 standing 8 counts, and I'm trying to kill him. and the time runs out. I lose the match, right? After the fight, whatever, my assistant coach and stuff talks to me like, you're just, scared, your first fight, whatever, all this stuff. And he's like trying to comfort me or whatever. My dad doesn't say a word to me. It's a 2-hour drive home. Doesn't say a word to me. Like a week passes probably. And I'm like, go up to him, I say something to him. And I don't remember even what I said to him. But he looks at me and he tells me, if that's how you plan on fighting, don't ever fight again. Because that was terrible.
Man.
Just quit right now. If that's how you plan on fighting, quit right now. Because you're no good. And all you're going to do is get hurt. And that's kind of what I've come up with. Like, upbringing has never been sugar-coated. Like, even back when I was an amateur and I'd lose certain fights, he's just honest, And that's what I grew up with, honesty. He's never sugar-coated anything. Like, he'll come and watch me spar, even nowadays, and he'll be like, oh, so-and-so kicked your ass today. Oh, you gassed today. Oh, well, you're not eating right? What are you not running? What are you not doing? That type of thing.
Yeah.
That's the way he is. He's very supportive, but he's honest, Like, back when I was doing amateur boxing, he hated the fact that I still did amateur boxing. Because I'd win fights, but then I'd get robbed and he'd get pissed. Or B, I would lose because I was not prepared properly. And he'd be like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. If that's all you're going to do and that's what you're going to put forward, you're wasting your time. Quit. Stop. You don't love boxing. You love MMA. And I put MMA on hiatus for like 2 years because that's kind of a different story. But pretty much he's very happy I'm back into MMA because he knows my passion for it and he knows this is what I love. I don't get me wrong. I love boxing in the sense of like it's fun to me. I love striking. I love that aspect of it. But if obviously I chose the sport I want to be in, and that's MMA. It's just different. It's different to me. I feel it's more almost dangerous. I don't know. I can't explain why I like it so much more because obviously I like the punching aspect of MMA. What I do is kick and punch more so punch, but I like to hurt people in that sense, not necessarily grappling or whatever. But yeah, it is. So it wasn't like he told me to do it or he wanted that for me, but he's always been supportive in the sense of whatever I want to do, he's going to support me, but he's also going to be honest about it. He's not going to be like, oh yeah, you did great when I got my ass kicked.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that just goes to show that obviously he cares about you. And with him being your father, he knows what you need to hear sometimes, and I mean, and it's worked out. I mean, obviously your performances have grown, and it's shown time after time. And here you are now, undefeated as a professional, all finishes. I mean, and the sky is the limit at this point. I can't even believe it, but we've been talking now for well over a half an hour.
Dang.
Just before we do wrap it up here tonight, Angel, always want to give you a platform to thank any teammates, sponsors, anybody outside of the gym that's been there for you, as always, after this big win.
Yeah, for sure. Sponsors, Integrated Recycling Company, Strategic Response, I can't remember the other 3 or 2 right now, but obviously always start BJJ, Brock Larson, Joe Diedrich, Chaz Hag, he's Golden Glove, St. Cloud, and John LaPlante. Those are all the coaches that I get to work with. John, not so much because he works a lot, but Chaz has been a big help for me, especially lately. I just want to give a shout out to my boxing coach that moved away to Georgia. His mother just recently passed away from cancer. I talked to him on the phone the night of my fight and stuff. So I just wanted to send my love out to him and his family. I know that when I talk to him, obviously, it's hard. That's your mother. So obviously my family, my wife, she's always supportive of me. And she really is my rock. She makes my life a lot easier. And without her, And a lot of this wouldn't be possible, to be honest, as well. So, but that's about it. Thanks, guys.
Man.
Oh man, thank you. That's awesome. And I love the shout out to your wife, because without her, the setup wouldn't be possible. So it's quite literally she's helping us get through this. So I love it, Angel. I'm always glad when we get a chance to talk to you. Be sure to reach back out to us once we are able to break a little news. Looking forward to seeing what is next for you. Damien, you want to sign us out?
Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ, and do not be a hoe. Boom.